Hello students, in this video I will take you through the steps in how to construct an arc that will exclude two unequal circles tangentially. Now what that means is that we will have an arc, right? We will have an arc that will touch two unequal circles tangentially. Now, the whole idea about tangent is that two lines or a line touching a circle without cutting. All right, so in this case, we'll have an arc touching two unequal circles without cutting. And the whole idea about the arc excluding, it means that the two circles would be on the outside of the arc. So it's like we'll have an arc like this, and the two circles would be on the outside. All right, basically something like that. Of course, this part here is not correct because the arc should not cut the circle. All right, it must only touch like this one here. All right, so just keep that in mind. Now you are given the measurement for the first circle, the second circle. You're given the radius for the arc also, and you're given the distance between the two circles. Now, point to note that an arc is basically a part of the circumference of a circle. So basically, if we are to continue this arc, we will end up with a huge circle. Well, of course, not looking like that, right? So it's just a part of the circle. So that's the whole idea behind, or the whole concept behind this construction. Now to take you through the steps, all right, we will start basically just as how we did in the previous topics. We start by drawing the distance between the two centers of the circle, right? So the the distance between the center is 70. So we will start with that. And yes, we need to label. All right. Now we move next to obtaining or drawing the circle, with the first one being 30 mm. So we open the pair of compasses to 30 mm in radius, and we draw our circle. All right, now the second circle is 20 mm. So we use that 20 mm and we obtain the second circle. Right, we obtain the second circle. Good. Now what we need to find next, right, it's the actual center for the arc that we want to draw next. Remember, I said earlier, an arc is just a portion of a circumference of a circle. So the arc itself, and by extension, the circle, has a center. So we need to find that center. Now the radius of the arc is 60. So we need to cater for a distance that would allow us to draw that arc that will touch these two circles. So for this construction, where the arc must exclude, right? For that, we need to add, right? We need to add. First of all, we would add radius 1 plus the arc radius. So 30 plus 60, that will give us 90. Right, let me just put that up here. 30 plus 60, that will give us 90. So our next distance that we'll be using is 90. So we will open the pair of compasses to 90 mm. Right, we open the pair of compasses to 90 mm. Then we go from A. All right, we go from A and we draw an arc below, because you remember we are looking for the center of the arc. Let me just get this a little bit precise. Yes, so I draw an arc at the bottom, and we draw this a little bit long because we don't know where the other arc will end up. So we want to extend this a little bit. Good. So we finish having that distance. Now point a note from this center. So this arc is 90 mm. That is what we add up to get earlier, right? 60 plus 30 gave us 90. So this distance is 90, right? Remember that. Now the other one, in order to get that one, or the other distance, we have to add the radius. Let me just get this a little bit better. Radius 2 plus the arc radius. So the radius 2 in this case is 20 plus the arc radius. That will give us 80. All right, so we now use that measurement of 80 mm. Right, we take the pair of compasses and we use that measurement of 80 mm. Right, we use that measurement of 80 mm. We go from B. All right, we go from B and we mark an arc on, sorry, mark an arc to intersect the previous arc that we already had here. All right, so what I'll do, I'll just put that center as C. So that now will give us the arc center. All right, the center of the arc. Now let me remind you again, the distance from A to this point is 90. All right, and the distance from B to this point is 80. All right, remember that. Good. Now we would attempt to draw the actual arc from the center. Now remember the arc radius is 60. So now we have to open the pair of compasses to 60. All right, so we set the pair of compasses now to 60. All right, and we come from C and we draw an arc that naturally, once you did everything accurately, it's supposed to touch both circles, right? It's supposed to touch both circles, right? Providing that you did everything accurately, right? It's supposed to touch. Majority of the time, you will have some part of it either cutting or some part missing, right? As you can see on mine, right? This part is missing. That is because I made probably a slight error in my measurement when I was taking the measurements for drawing the circles and scribing the arcs and so on, right? So what you would need to do is ensure that you take the correct measurement, right? Because if you don't do that, your arc would not touch, or probably it might cut the circle, right? So you need to be careful. Now, what happens with this software, I don't get to have a precise measurement every time, right? It does not allow me to get that precise measurement every time. So there's always, you know, some amount of inaccuracy as it relates to obtaining everything the way it should. So those are the steps in how you get this arc. Now, let me just remind you again, and this is the whole idea behind it. Now, from this center to C, that's supposed to be 90, right? Because remember, you add 60 plus 30, that gives you 90. On this side now, you add 20 and 60, that give you 80. All right. Now, from the center to the circle itself, that is 30. So I'll just put a line there, 30. So if you take away that 30 from 90, it means now that 60 remains here for this arc. All right. Likewise, from B to this circle is 20. And the entire distance was 80. So if you take 20 from that 80, it means that 60 remains here. So naturally, once you use the correct measurements and you open to 60 mm, you will get this arc touching both circles, or you should get the arc touching both circles. All right, so that is the whole idea behind this. Good. Now, in terms of variation, right? In terms of variation, the only difference in this is that probably the arc would have to be drawn on top, which means that you got to describe the arc somewhere on top and then draw this arc, right? So that's basically the only variation, except if you have to do it in a vertical manner like this, where you find the two arcs, sorry, the center somewhere there, and you have the arc touching something like that. Or you find the center on the left-hand side, and the arc would come somewhere like that. So that's the only variation as it relates to this construction. So just remember, for the external, or when the arc excludes the circle, you have to add, right? Add radius 1 and the arc radius, then radius 2 and the arc radius. That will give you the distance in order to find the center to draw the arc. All right, so I do hope this video would have helped you, and you are now better able to construct this arc, right, in the correct way. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. Goodbye.